On this special Women's Day edition of Somos Lehigh Valley, we sit down with Danielle Joseph. And from the Girls Club of Northeastern PA, Lindy Arnold. An all-new episode of Somos starts now.
This is your Lehigh Valley, where your success reaches new heights. Excellence isn't achieved by chance. Success requires vision, commitment, flexibility. Change brings opportunity. The opportunity to think and work different, better. This space offers solutions and resources you'll love, with a world-class vibe that's close to home. There's nothing ordinary about this space. Here is where you'll achieve the extraordinary. This is your Lehigh Valley. This is your Venture X.
Hey everyone, welcome to a very special episode of Somos Lehigh Valley. It's a podcast that's presented by the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, that's presented also by Venture X. Now we're not at Venture X today.
We're not.
We're somewhere else. We are actually at Ben Franklin Tech Partners here in Bethlehem at a very special event commemorating International Women's Month. And with me, I have one of the most recognizable women over at the Chamber. She is part of our Hispanic Chamber as well, Danielle Joseph. Danielle, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the podcast finally.
Thank you. Feliz Dia de Mujer. Today is such a special day for us. We're partnered with the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the African American Business Leaders Council, and the Women's Business Council to bring you a phenomenal panel later today. I'm so excited.
Now, what number year is this that you're doing this event?
That's a good question because I wanted to say the history of this event. This has been a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce event for, I remember starting to work with the Hispanic Chamber about 20 years ago. So it's very,
long, huh?
very many years. I'm not sure if they started it when they first started the chamber, but a couple years after. It was our International Women's Day event. And now that we have the partnership with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber, we have our partners, Women's Business Council and the African American Business Leaders Council.
So, Danielle, let's talk a little bit about your background, because when when I started working with the Hispanic Chamber, I could have sworn you were like a Latina, like through and through, like born and bred. But your path is a little different. Tell us a little bit about like your upbringing and
born and raised in Easton, Greek and Lebanese ethnicity. Just from a young age, many of my friends spoke Spanish, and I'm super nosy and just like to know what's going on and just love to understand people's culture. So I grew up with a lot of folks that spoke Spanish, and when I started working in restaurants, I would want to be able to communicate with people. That's always been a constant in my life, is to be able to communicate and understand people. So I started taking Spanish in high school, then in college, watched novelas, listened to
that was my path too, by the way.
Yeah?
I did not grow up speaking Spanish.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I took on Spanish when I was about 16, 17.
Yeah, me too.
In high school, and watching novelas and
Ricky Martin, listen to Ricky Martin music.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how people feel about that, but
there was this novella back in the 90s called Marimar. I don't know if you remember that one.
I didn't watch that one.
I think it was a very famous singer at the time who was the main actress. She was like this poor girl.
Oh, I saw the commercials for that. Yeah.
Right,
I remember the commercials.
That is kind of like where I learned Spanish.
Right?
Watching stuff like that.
That's what I tell people. And Gotita de Amor. Did you ever watch that one?
Yeah.
Because the little girl, like, she spoke slower and I could understand it better. So that's kind of how I learned Spanish.
I'll tell you who was a riot, though. I don't know if Saturday nights you used to watch Don Francisco.
Yeah, Sábado Gigante.
Yeah, I for the life of me, it's like he threw so many things into that show. He had like that little dude with the mask.
Yeah.
The trumpet, remember that?
And they boom. Yeah, when people would. Do you remember that? They'd come out and do their talent, whatever it is.
Yeah, then he'd start playing the trumpet, they just whisk them off.
Yeah.
It was just the funniest thing.
So that's seriously, I didn't know that we had that in common.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So growing up Lebanese, right? And you said Lebanese and Greek.
Greek and Lebanese, yeah.
What are some of the commonalities that you've noticed with those cultures and Hispanic culture?
So much. Familia, family is huge. Food, music, all the most important things.
I mean, and those are really the things that bring people together,
Yes.
right? It's like it's food, it's the atmosphere, it's family, and I think that's one of the reasons why our theme of Somos Familia resonates with so many different
For sure.
people, because especially, I feel more so even coming out of the pandemic, people were kind of trying to refine
They miss that.
sense of community.
They
right?
do, for sure.
So what was that like for the Chambers during that time? Like,
Ooh,
during the...
that threw us on our head because we're in the people business. That's what we sell. It's people, that connection. So it took us a good few weeks to like kind of realize what was happening and that it wasn't going away after 2 weeks, and to try to figure out different ways we could be there for our members and even just the whole business community, member or non-member. We didn't stay at home very long. I remember March we started to stay home. We were back in the office at June because we're like, if we want people to get back, safely, we came in little by little, but we needed to be there for our businesses, and we were inventive of how to keep them connected. The Hispanic Chamber did Café con Conexión, where we did Zoom with your grab a cup of coffee, and we were just able to check in with one another. Instead of focusing solely on business, we focused on that connection and keeping that there for people.
One of the things that I talked about on a previous podcast was the fact that during the pandemic, there were many businesses that experienced that abrupt shutdown or that abrupt slowdown, and there was this period like right between when the pandemic officially started and businesses had to close to when federal aid started coming in, and how the chamber kind of filled that gap. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. We had, being a successful chamber, we have money in reserves for a rainy day, and what a rainy day it was. And we're like, we're not going to use this now during a global pandemic. Like, when are we going to use this money? So we took money out of our reserves and pumped it out into the streets. We did a very easy application process because we knew people needed to pay rent. They needed to pay their people. They needed just to, use that money.
Basics.
Yeah. So we got those out there, and, a few of us in the Diversity Council made sure that we got it to our communities, and we helped translate when needed, and then helped folks with the different things that the federal, like the PPP and stuff. We tried to bring in folks that could help train in Espanol so that people didn't have that barrier as well.
That's awesome. And here we are 4 years later, right?
Sort of out of it.
The economy is thriving again. There are people who are opening businesses up.
Yes.
A lot of entrepreneurs who are really taking that risk. And, you and I have seen, the ribbon cuttings, and we've been to a lot of these events, and it's the greatest thing ever
It's
when
the
you
best
see,
feeling.
people realize their dream. But getting back to today's event, what is it that you feel makes this day, International Women's Day, such an important day on the calendar?
So this event is magical. I know that we do tons of events, and I love each and every one. This event is so magical because of the inspiration and the energy in the room. We have people that are representing the entire community coming and telling us about their challenges and how they got to where they are. We have one of our panelists today came from Colombia, didn't speak English. She's a lawyer. She studied in her country, but then had to come here, would stay up till 2-3 in the morning learning English and doing all of that, taking an LSAT in English.
Wow.
I'm so excited to hear from her today, and all of our panelists. But it's important to take this one day a year because women don't tend to do that for themselves. There's a lot on our plates. Unfortunately, still today, it's sometimes
They're
not
business
equal.
women, their moms, their daughters.
They wear
there's
lots
all
of
these different
hats.
things.
We do. We wear lots of hats, and there's wonderful men such as yourself that support us and come out and definitely are there to help. I wish that was the same for everyone, but it's not. So we take this day and we celebrate our friendships. We celebrate, the unity among us. So I'm excited for today.
So in addition to talking to the women of today, I know one of the things that you do is you pour into the women of tomorrow as part of the Girl Scouts. Talk to us a little bit about that, Danielle, because I know that you're being recognized this
which
month,
is hard
right?
for me.
That's awesome.
We usually do events where we recognize people, so this is super hard for me. But I'm just taking it and enjoying, every minute that I can, even though it might feel a little embarrassing at points, or there's so many worthy women in the Lehigh Valley. Like, why am I getting it? But I'm taking it because maybe I can inspire someone else in it as well. And one thing that I love doing at my job is to empower the women that I work with. We have some folks right out of college, right out of the high school in the working field for a little bit. And that's my favorite part of the job, is just to, help train them, get them to where they need to be so that they can go spread their wings and fly. And getting to take the lead award is so special to me because of that, because I feel like that's my favorite thing that I do. So to be recognized for that is pretty awesome. And today I have a Girl Scout shadowing me, so I'm excited to be able to share today's experience with her as well.
Well, that gives me an idea. I mean, if she's shadowing you and you're being interviewed, we should probably interview her too,
I think that sounds great.
Give her a chance to.
It's a good experience.
So why don't we do this? We're going to take a quick break. We're going to swap out. But before we do that, I know we've got some great events coming up this spring. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the events that the Hispanic, and I can help you out if you want.
Sure. So our next one is Somos Latinas. Yep. March 25th, we'll be at Don Juan Mex Grill in Easton.
And that's an exciting event because you have, just groups of women just getting together, networking, getting to know each other.
Yeah, no agenda, just like come and meet up and build relationships. That's what we do at the Chamber. You build relationships so that when you need, someone, when you need a lawyer, you have a connection with one who can help you out or find somebody to help you out. So we have that. How about you tell them about our next one?
Well, I'm a fan of Taco Tuesdays, but since we can't do a Taco Tuesday, so we're going to do a Taco Saturday in May. It's going to be Taco Fest. We're bringing it downtown Allentown, so right on Hamilton. Going to have a great time of just sharing community, sharing good food, but at the same time learning how to play pickleball.
I know, this is going to be interesting. Right? I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. We're getting lessons.
Have you had any experience at all?
No, I just need to YouTube it because I really don't even know what it looks like.
So here's what I've heard. What I've heard is if you took tennis and ping pong and mishmash them together, you would get paddle.
I feel like it will be dangerous for me downtown with windows and stuff, but we'll try.
We'll see. I mean, we'll make sure that folks keep a safe distance from the business windows. But in addition to that, we also are doing for the first time this year a golf outing.
You talk about that. That's your baby. That was your idea.
And here's the thing. I'm not really a good golfer.
Okay.
So admittedly, it's like last year I golfed for the first time. But I'm saying that because there are many people who might feel intimidated to go play golf. And really, golf really is more so about networking and spending time with people, getting to know people. You usually mix it up and you have, maybe one strong golfer, maybe three not so strong golfers in a grouping. But such a great opportunity to network with people that you normally wouldn't have time to get in front of. And that's what I took out of the event. So we're having that event in June. It's going to be June 25th at Woodstone Country Club in Danielsville. Yep. And so
we're even having the pro for a fundraiser for the Fifth Foundation. You can have the pro take a shot for you.
That's awesome. I mean, that'll help him with my number because my number is going to be horrible. But I'm going to have a great time, and we're all going to have a great time. So for all of those events, we want people to know that they can go to the Chamber website, right, and find out more about it, get registered, get signed up, and also get connected, right?
True, And then after that, just really quickly, just to save the date for our gala to kick off Hispanic Heritage Month, September 13th.
Yeah, that seems so far away.
It's not.
But it'll be here before
so
you
much
think
to do.
about it.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be here before you know it. That is, again, another exciting event that we're bringing to downtown Allentown at the new Da Vinci Science Center. So we're really excited about that. Yes. It's going to be a great night. Be sure and get your ticket early because that sells out fast.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people that don't go to any events during the year, they go to that one. So all these events, like we said, you can go on to thehispanicchamber.com, get more information about them, get signed up, get your tickets. So let's take a quick break. We're going to switch out, and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
This is your Lehigh Valley, where your success reaches new heights. Excellence isn't achieved by chance. Success requires vision, commitment, flexibility. Change brings opportunity. The opportunity to think and work different, better. This space offers solutions and resources you'll love, with a world-class vibe that's close to home. There's nothing ordinary about this space. Here is where you'll achieve the extraordinary. This is your Lehigh Valley. This is your Venture X.
Hey everybody, we're back with a very special episode of Somos Lehigh Valley, coming to you from Bethlehem via the Ben Franklin Tech Center for a very special event during International Women's Month. We have with us today Lindy from the Girl Scouts of Eastern Pennsylvania, who is actually shadowing Danielle today, right? She's a part of your troop, or is she part of your group?
Danielle is someone I'm shadowing, so I could eventually present an award to, which I'm so happy to. But I'm
excited to be here.
Oh, definitely, yes. So far, it has been such an experience already. I've gotten to know Miss Danielle for maybe an hour, but I can tell she's already so spectacular.
Awesome. So let's get to know you a little bit better, Lindy. Tell me about yourself. Where do you go to school? What are your interests? What are your passions?
Yeah. So I've always grown up around this area. I'm from Montgomery County. I go to school at Plymouth Whitemarsh High School. It's such an amazing community, super diverse, which is what we're here for today. So that's always been an important part of my life. I've always been interested in politics because
interesting. Okay.
My dad said he'll support me no matter what I do, so long as it helps people. And for a while, I hadn't found a career that, clicked until I watched CNN one day and I saw two senators just debating and something clicked, so from then on, from 5th grade, I guess, wow, that's been
No.
From 5th grade, I guess, I've always been so fascinated with politics. It's so nuanced and it helps so many people.
It does.
And yeah. So if I could be that for someone, if I could help just one person, I think I could die happy.
Oh my gosh, you're giving me so much hope for our future right now. Lindy, have you had a chance to travel to, I know the usual spots when you're interested in politics or either Harrisburg or DC. Have you had a chance to visit either of those places? Or
so far, I have not. I do want to visit DC over the summer because I've always been fascinated with that area, and it's the hearth of all politics.
Can I give you a piece of advice though? Don't go in August. It is super hot.
Oh, yeah.
It is, especially if you're trying to walk the mall, between the Washington Monument and the Capitol, you'll melt. So try June, July, maybe September. But it is a great place to visit because there's so much history there. There's so many places that you go into and you see wow, important documents were signed here, important things happened here. But it's just like you said, a lot of it is important conversations that people had, in those places. So is there a particular figure in politics or in history that has inspired you as far as your interest?
Yeah, I have a pin of her on my vest, but Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was the first person I think my dad pointed out to me, and basically she's just done so much for women's rights, so much for diversity, and she really gave me hope because especially now we need that. So just the fact that one person can make that much of a difference, inspire that many people, including myself, just astounds me.
That's awesome. I mean, and it is true that it only takes one person, right? And if each one of us were to have that same attitude that there's something that we can do to make a difference in somebody else's life, to make life better for someone else, if everyone took that approach, I think it'd be a much different world.
Exactly. I think about that a lot because, you always put these sort of people on a pedestal. You don't think of them as human. But in reality, they're just another person that did amazing things, and that could very well be you. So it just gives you so much hope as to what you can do with the world.
Well, obviously, our RBG is an important influence to you, but Are there any other women historically or in your life now that have influenced you that you would say are really important?
I think there's so many, but especially my mom and my grandmother. They're both super powerful, super. There's no words that you can put on them. I love them so much. They've made such a great impact. And without revealing too much, my grandmother has been through quite a lot throughout her entire life. And just the fact that she's still able to be herself, still able to have such a big heart, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of us, moms and grandmothers really hold a very special place in our heart because they have seen the world change. You know, for me, I can remember when I was very, very young, you know, just playing with my grandmother, but the life lessons. There are many things that grandparents, moms say. There are special sayings, right, that they'll say. That, you know, it's like they beat you over the head with it. But then when you get older, it makes a little bit more sense. Like, are there any phrases like that, things that your mom always said when you were little, or that your grandmother said that you look back at it now and you're like, wow, that really does make a lot of sense?
There's no phrases in particular, but I can find myself, like, I used to get, not angry, but sort of perturbed, I guess, by, you know, what my mom didn't let me do when I was younger. But as I'm getting older, I realized that there's such important messages, and, you know, that's what you need in the world, I guess. Yeah. I can't find like a specific saying, but I know it has happened.
I think overall what we find with moms, grandmothers, the women in our lives is kindness.
Definitely.
Right? And I think that in the world, sometimes that's what we lack, is that kindness for other people, where we don't necessarily have to agree with what other people believe or think or say, but we can be kind to one another, right?
And like, there's such a misconception that like kindness almost means weakness in a lot of scenarios, and you know, it's what the world needs most, because you can't have peace and love and connection without getting to know one another. So, and I think kindness is just facilitates that so beautifully.
That's awesome. That really is a great way to kind of end our time, Wendy. You know, I think that you did great for your first interview.
Thank you.
You know, I know you were probably like really, you know, nervous, but it'll serve you well in politics. I'll tell you that much. You're going to have to learn to talk to people. But it was great having you on, and it's great to see that we have young people, young ladies coming up in this world who do have that kindness, but also that willingness to serve. So I see you've got some pins on here.
Just a few.
I saw the RGB. Talk to me about some of your pins, because I'm always interested. Like when I see people who wear pins. So tell me a little bit about some of your pins.
Well, a few of them.
And your kind of patches there as well.
So these patches were all from my cadet years. I still haven't sewn on a lot of my senior years, but they were all. A lot of them were STEM related actually, and I was super glad I got to be a part
Big
of
into
it.
science?
I am not big into science. Yeah, I don't think I want to go into STEM, but I admire anyone who does. That is quite the career, especially, and it lacks women too.
Yeah.
So any Girl Scout, any woman who goes into that, I applaud them. But I've never found myself on this science scene.
But it's great to see that you've had some exposure.
Exactly.
That's awesome. You know, well-rounded experiences as part of your time with the Girl Scouts.
Exactly. That's all about what Girl Scouts is. It's just opening you to possibilities. And I find that such an important part of like my life, let alone other people's. So if one organization can do that to someone, then like that's spectacular.
So if there's a young girl watching right now, like what do they need to do to get signed up with the Girl Scouts if they're interested in joining?
All you need to do is want to be in Girl Scouts. Like, their sign-up process is especially easy, and it's such, I think, an affordable option, such a wonderful option, and it sets you up for your entire life. You learn so many skills. You don't just learn camping, selling, cookies, or first aid. Like,
Well, cookies are my favorite part.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you that
Cookies
much.
are the best part.
Whenever
Scouts.
January, February rolls around, I have a budget allotted for the.
Exactly. We have a way of doing that.
I know.
But my first badge in Girl Scouts when I was a junior was we got to make a video game with Microsoft.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so like you just open yourself up to a world of possibilities, and I think 75% of women in Congress have been a Girl Scout at some point in their life.
That's a good stat.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but like, I think I read that. Sorry, from a source, but it's amazing. It teaches you about leadership, about kindness, about connection, about being able to be powerful yet reserved, or powerful yet kind. All of them.
That's awesome. Well, Lindy, you certainly have all those attributes, kindness, and I can tell that you're going to go places. So look forward to following your journey and seeing where you take all of these interests and all these passions. But thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for interviewing me, and
I'm going to look back on this one day, this interview. I'm going to say, yeah, I interviewed the President of the United States when she was in the Girl Scouts.
That is awesome. I love
That'd be great. Well, everybody, thanks again for joining us for this special episode. We'll be back again next week, maybe from another location, but we enjoy having this opportunity to connect with you, and especially today, celebrating International Women's Month Day. It's a whole month, but today's International Women's Day, and so to all those women out there who continue to inspire us, who continue to provide positive impact in the community, thank you to each one of you. We applaud you. We're cheering you on, and you are part of the reason why we say Somos Lehigh. Have a great week, everybody. See you next time on Somos Lehigh Valley.